welcome to our room. We're so excited to be part of MomFest this year. It's a little bit different, obviously, than last year. And so Jordan and I are actually in two separate places. I'm upstairs in my bedroom, and Jord's away with her family in
Yeah,
Peck.
we're in Prince Edward County. Um, yeah, very
So
different
yeah,
vibe to be digital this year, but it's great.
yeah,
Hopefully,
we're
fingers
happy.
crossed.
Yeah, we're happy to be a part of MomFest this year. We just absolutely love so much what Alana has done for our community and for all of the moms in Toronto and elsewhere, and all the chapters that other moms have opened up in their cities and towns and all over. It's just really an incredible way to bring people together. So that is also something that Jordana and I do, and we try to um, we've started also a community, and we are called 100 Days of. Jordana and I have known each other for um,
Like a long
many
time.
years, like a long time, but we are different ages. We actually went to the same high school, but um, we didn't really know each other in high school. And then a mutual best friend of ours connected us when we were both pregnant with our first babies. And she knew both of us were pregnant, and she was like, I've got a person for you. And basically, when both of us were out, we were so excited that it was one another. And that was the beginning, really, of our friendship, in that we started doing our prenatal classes together. We did yoga both up until we basically gave birth. And then Jordana had her first daughter 3 weeks before I had my first daughter. And essentially, after I had my daughter, we have spent every day together since, and until COVID started. So,
Yeah.
and now we've only seen each other a handful of times. So, when we had our babies, so I mean, some people had told us about, the fourth trimester. It had been mentioned, but I should mention that both our babies are our first are now 5 years old. So that was, I mean, a lot changes in 5 years.
Yeah, definitely a lot changes in 5 years. But I think what we had both found was, people had said all the really generic things to us, like, oh, sleep is going to be challenging, or like breastfeeding can sometimes be hard. But what nobody really said were the real things that happened after that we were both like shell shocked over. Like hating your partner, like your nipples actually bleeding, like forget your breastfeeding is hard. Like
No
no
one
one,
told me
no
that.
one
Nobody
said
told
that.
me also about mastitis. Like that was a thing. I had it
No
like
one.
7, 8 times, like between both my babies. It was crazy. And so when Jordan and I had, when it came around the time that we had our seconds, Jordana had hers 6 months before I had my second. So we were going through that fourth trimester, like as she was just ending her 4 months, like I was kind of just getting into it. And, we both were saying to ourselves, and also I should say that both Jordana and we're extremely non-judgmental people. We're very open. We've been through a lot personally trying to get pregnant. I've had two losses, one pretty early on, one um, at 11, just about at 11 weeks. And, Jordana went through IVF. So, I mean, that doesn't make us um, any more well-rounded. It just like we had just been through our own experiences, which I think just makes, you know, us easier to talk to because we're both very open and honest about our experiences. So after we had our seconds, we really were struggling once again in that fourth trimester that if you're out of it now, like you've likely forgotten what it feels like to be right back in it. And, we both have very active partners who are very engaged with the babies and the toddlers, and it was still hard. And we have support in our lives, and it was still hard. And we just felt like we live in Canada, in Toronto, in both really nice neighborhoods. We have roofs over our heads, and it's still hard. So we just really felt almost duped by motherhood, that nobody had told us that. And if we had been given all of these tools, it's still hard. So we just felt like we needed to get out there and talk to the community and see what the community had to say about it, because it was so helpful to have each other to talk to during this really different time in our lives. And yeah, I mean,
And
we
that's
really
what the
sleep
project,
deprived.
yeah, that's what the project's all about. We set out to interview 100 moms. We've since interviewed hundreds of moms about what their experience of postpartum has been. And the idea is to keep sharing these stories so that when you're going through something, because it always feels like you're the only one going through whatever you're going through, our project is a reminder that you are not alone in this experience, because there are enough maternal mental health issues that come up postpartum, as we all know. And so exacerbating them by feeling alone, without support, without a village, without camaraderie, there's no need for it, because we're all doing the same thing. So it was really, really important for us to spread that message that we are together, we are one, we are a village, we are a community, and we are sharing these stories the same way long, long ago in actual villages, they would orally tell you like their stories. Elder statesmen of motherhood would sort of share these stories, and there would be this like tradition of sharing, which we don't do now. Now we're conditioned to say, I'm fine. Like, I'm sure you guys have all heard a million moms say, I'm fine, it's fine, this is fine. Nobody wants to say, like, I'm suffering or it's great. It's hard to say either of those things, but we need to change the conversation and give women and mothers permission to say those things, because, like, no one needs to live in bullshit. It's not the way we want to move forward. It's not going to help anybody. It's not going to change the way motherhood is perceived. And that's what we're all about, just changing it and recreating a village.
100%. So, yeah, so today we thought, I mean, we just spent the last 10 minutes telling you how we kind of got to building our community. And now we'd like to share some stories with you from our community. So if you are just tuning in now, I'm Lonnie, that's
I'm Jordana.
Jordana, and we are 100 Days Of. You can find us on Instagram with the handle, I'll write it here in the chat.
I'll type it
So
out.
if you
Yeah.
don't follow us, you can follow us there. So on our page, we post anonymous stories, real, raw, honest stories from mothers in the 4th trimester. And actually, we launched at MomFest just over
We
a year.
did, yeah.
So,
and we are coming up to our
back.
Yeah, and we're coming up to our 100th story that will be coming out in November, along with some really exciting new changes and things going on in our group. So if you haven't already joined us, please do. And if you're already joining us, something to look forward to. But in the meantime, yeah, let's get started. We'll start with we picked a handful of our like favorite stories that sort of cover a bunch of topics that people usually like to hear about. And if anyone wants to chime in, please do. And I'll also say, like, if at any point anybody feels like they would like to share their story in this space right now, I don't know if you can like put up a hand. I don't know how we don't know how this works, but if you want to like put up a hand or like holler in the chats, like you can pop on and tell your story too. So in the meantime, off we go.
All right.
Here's story number 1. Life since having a baby has been terrible. It is the biggest game changer of game changers. I was someone who was really career oriented and focused on getting ahead. My identity was very much based on being a career woman, and I still have that part of myself. My natural self is a worker, a broker, a helper. But with my kids, I don't really want to help them. I know that sounds bad. I've been so aggravated all the time. I find it very frustrating with my kids. It was a weird reality check for me. I had no idea what was in store when I became a parent. I felt like I had been hit by a Mack truck. You have all the wrong information. I thought it was about dressing your kids cute, taking fun photos, buying a cool stroller, and getting your body back. But fuck all that shit. It is none of those things. Your kids are going to shit through their nice clothes. The stroller is trash bin that gets banged up the second you use it because it weighs 4,000 pounds and you have to carry it everywhere. Your body's fucked no matter what you do. And most of all, those fun memories are all staged. With my first baby, I wanted to prove that I could still go out and have the same social life. I was obsessed with trying to get back into my old life. I didn't want to admit that motherhood had affected me. I wanted to be that cool mom, but it was a total sham. I feel bad because people think I'm portray that image. I think when people see me, they think I'm doing it all and have a good grasp on it. The truth is, I don't have a good grasp on it. No one does. I'm barely sleeping. My tits are killing me all the time. I can't figure out my breast milk situation, and we are in financial debt. If it weren't for the village of people I have around me, I wouldn't be okay. I don't know how to do this by myself. So if you think anyone is doing it better than you, they aren't.
That was it's actually one of
That was
my
the first
favorite
story we ever
stories.
shared.
Yeah, and it was the first story we ever shared. We just this mom just puts it all so well. She takes, I think she speaks for a lot of moms, and was very, very raw and real with us. And I just want to give props to her for sharing and not leaving anything out, because that was she really covered a lot of how she feels in that fourth trimester.
And speaking of leaving it all out there, the next one is also one of our favorites of all time. Lon, I'll let you.
Okay. So, I have no interest in sex at all. I don't see when that's going to happen. I feel bad because my husband is doing so much work to take care of us and he wants to have sex, but I'm like, no. Maybe we've been sleeping with the baby in our bed. So if my husband comes near me to spoon, I'm like, get the fuck off me. It's baby steps. Eventually, I'll get there, but I just have no interest in sex. I've been holding a baby every second of the entire day. I'm touched out, and the baby's on my nipple all day. It's like boobs are off limit. Don't touch my stomach. The sex is just going to be bad. It may as well not happen. We could also do it the whole time. We also couldn't do it the whole time I was pregnant because I was on bed rest. So it's been a long time. I hope it's crazy when we do, but I feel like making time for it is something I'm going to have to consciously work on going forward. When you haven't had sex in so long, it's hard to jumpstart it. It's hard to even get into the mind frame for it. My mind frame is always on the baby. It's just always on my head. And as you can imagine, babies are the antithesis of sexy.
So we had such a good laugh about this one because, I mean, if you've had a baby, I think you can probably agree that like sex is just not awesome. I mean, it's fine and it gets better and it's fine. But whenever we hear about people who like got pregnant like 6 weeks after they had a baby, always the first thing I think is like, how could they have had sex? Like, how did it happen? Because I can personally say like I was not interested for a long time. Right? Like, who wants to do that? You're like,
and everybody like tells you and they warn you and they're like, you have to buy lube, and like the whole, like everybody like almost psychs you out for that first time you're gonna have sex. And it's like, hello, like I just had a baby. And it's usually like the partner, they're like, oh, you're going for your 6-week checkup. Like,
oh,
we can have sex tonight.
too.
And you're like, I think I need to, just like hold off a little bit. And
you're like, it's
some
cool.
people,
My last stitch just came out, but
yeah.
Sure.
But like we've also spoken to definitely a handful of moms. I'm not going to say probably not more than a handful, but some of them were like right back
Ready
in it. And like, good for you. Like, that's incredible. If you could do that and you feel good about yourself and at 6 weeks postpartum, then
you're amazing.
Then you are amazing. But I think also this story just she spoke so well about it and was really funny about it. And also, like, I mean, now having a toddler and a little kid, like, I'm still touched out at the end of my day. Like, it's still making a conscious effort to.
And finding the time, right? Like you've done bedtime, you've done this, you've done that. Like sometimes, like getting in the mood is just not, it's not as easy as it was pre-kids, for sure.
That's for sure. So the
Um,
next,
all right.
yeah, we wanted to kind of cover in all the stories today different topics. So the next one, it's all you, George.
Yeah, another favorite. Okay. My mother-in-law is funny. My husband is 42 and she still sees him as her baby that she needs to take care of. I dread going to her house for dinner. On the one hand, I love it because she's an amazing cook and sends us home with lots of food. But when we get there, it's very unrelaxing for me. My husband grew up in that house, so he's very comfortable and he can just chill on the couch, but I can't relax. Their house is massive and it's not baby proofed. Every time I go there, I'll find a miscellaneous pill in the carpet. Ah. They have this stupid rocking horse that neighs, but the neigh was dying, so they had to change the battery. I'm super anxious about safety things, especially batteries. My husband's on the couch watching the baseball game, and his mom busts out all these batteries on the ground. She picks up a small watch battery off the floor, like, oh, where did this come from? And I'm like, oh my God. I start to sweat and I'm throwing pillows at my husband to get his attention. And in the meantime, his mom has found another battery in the carpet. Whenever we go there, she's always doting on my husband. The kids are running around, I'm chasing them, and it's not fun for me. I'd rather say no to a great dinner and leftovers because I spend the whole time chasing them around. It's just crazy. It's just a crazy social dynamic. Why should only the mother or the female need to fill that role? Well, don't even get
I
us started.
mean, like, I think both of us
Like
could
Danielle was
probably
like, pill
talk.
in the carpet. Like, yeah, pill in the carpet. Like, what the fuck?
What
It's kind of
the
crazy.
fucking fuck?
Um,
This mom
it's
also, just her story
oh,
was, I mean,
she was
she
great.
said it so beautifully and so bang on. I mean, she nailed so many points about in-laws and, you know,
Yeah, and I
in-laws
think,
and in-laws.
that's in-laws. It's funny. We're up here with my parents right now, and they were telling stories about like their in-law experience. It's just, I think literally every parent in the planet has an in-law experience. Because when you have a baby, you're suddenly like beholden to. You're always sort of beholden to your in-laws, but now like you really are because like the baby is theirs too, and so navigating that relationship can be interesting.
Yeah, and usually also, like, after you give birth, it's not just your partner's relationship that takes a toll. It's usually most relationships in your life, and in-laws happen to
Hmm.
be usually quite, you know, uh, hopefully they're a very important relationship in your life after you have a baby. So it's hard to navigate that when you're going through all the changes in your life.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
On to the next one. Breastfeeding. So we have lots and lots of stories on breastfeeding, and I think this is one that we posted somewhat
More
recently.
recently.
Yeah, more
Yeah.
recently.
We really
But
like to
she,
show both sides of the breastfeeding coin. We are pro neither. We are pro everybody's choice. So we really like to show all the different sides of breastfeeding, like feeding, I would say, not even breastfeeding, because
yeah,
it's not always.
it's not always breast, and breast is not
No.
always best. It's fed is best. All right,
Yeah.
here we go. I'm constantly filled with mom guilt because I didn't breastfeed. I fed my son for a month and I fed my newborn for 4 days because she needs a happy mom. And breastfeeding did not make me happy. It was really hard. And that's something they don't tell you, how hard breastfeeding actually is. It's a full career, and I credit every mother who breastfeeds. Choosing not to breastfeed can eat at you for no other reason than societal pressure. I internally felt okay about giving my baby formula, but the outside world put such shame over it. Even at my doctor's office, when they ask if I'm breastfeeding or using formula, I just want to cover my face and be like, she's on formula.
I mean, we love this story. Like, both of us, Lon mentioned having mastitis a bazillion times. I also had mastitis a bazillion times. My first kid was underweight, and I was basically like forced to formula feed or to supplement with formula. And I felt so much shame and guilt over it. And then it's crazy because then you have the second kid and you're like, whatever. Not like you
True.
just,
No, it's true.
well, because you give them the formula and you realize, oh, all the like stigma attached to formula isn't really true because they're perfect. They're the exact same. It's just the exact same experience. And of course there are benefits to breastfeeding. We don't want to undermine that, but there's a lot of benefits to having a mentally healthy parent. And for some people, there's a million reasons you wouldn't breastfeed, but if that simple reason is you just don't want to, I mean, good enough.
Yeah, 100%. And she says it so well too. She's like, if they want their mom to be happy, like she couldn't stress about that. Otherwise she would have just been miserable. And that's also what this community is about, right? Like we want to lift each other up and not shame each other. So whatever you do for your baby, you're always doing your best. And
yeah,
I truly believe that no matter what.
No, and we have this really old school mentality as a collective of like motherhood as martyr. Thank you.
Oh,
That's
thank
very
you.
nice. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong at this point. We are not martyrs. We are like the backbone, soul, heart of a family. And it's like it's enough to have to just keep suffering and suffering. Like the suffering, again, like the mental health stuff is only exacerbated by all these extra layers you put on. So if taking breastfeeding out of the equation makes you feel better, great. That's
Be
so
done with
great.
it. And it's like we also have been through that too. Like, George, you said you just felt like you felt so much guilt and shame. And like I did too. Like my son, I was able to breastfeed and I really enjoyed it with my first, but with my second, I didn't. And he weaned off me so early. And I still felt guilty about it. And it's like, why do we have this like guilt, like this gray cloud over us always, all the time? And yeah, we hope that these stories can, we try to touch on all topics and that they
And
can make
remind
you
you
feel not
that,
alone.
yeah, exactly. Like if you've made those same decisions, then here you go. Like there's someone else who has too, and we're all doing fine. We're all doing our best. I
Yeah.
hope.
Also, I just want to, I mean, I could say this for the end, but I just also did want to mention like this month in general is a bit of a heavy month for moms. And then also, it's Infant Loss and Awareness Month, and tomorrow is Infant Loss and Awareness Day. So all week, if you have suffered a loss, we are posting a story every day this week about loss, and they're really, really incredible. These moms have really opened up their hearts to us, and definitely read along if you would like, and show these moms support.
And yeah, I think we're going to read one more story, but also to say if you're not following us or if you are following us and you've been wanting to share your story, we always want to hear your story, whether you're in your 4th trimester or you're 5 years postpartum. We're learning a lot about what postpartum really means and where it really goes. And we want to hear your voices, and they're so important and they're so valuable. And you have no idea how much each story impacts all these moms. So yeah, Lon put up our email and Insta handle. So join us. And this last story is a really positive one about having a mom community and what it means. And I think it's a really good reason to be a part of a community. And especially right now in COVID and right now in this digital age, it's harder and harder to like meet people in person. So we're doing our best. We're pivoting, we're working with what we've got, and we have a pretty strong digital community where you really do feel a lot of love, I think. So yeah,
I think we're
definitely
kind
come
of
visit us.
maybe get cut off. So if we do get cut off, you can find this story somewhere on her page. I can't remember what number it is,
I'll
but
go quick. We have
all
4
right.
minutes.
Okay, go.
I got really lucky with this group of girls because there's no judgment. On any given night at 2 a.m., we're all on WhatsApp talking to each other. It was something I spearheaded. I did a prenatal class with a few girls. We all had our babies over 2 months. We did another class together and more people joined. Now there are 12 of us. It goes on all day and all hours of the night. Any questions we have, you can always just ask the group and they'll have something. We all give advice. Right now on my phone, there are 26 messages from this group. If I put it down for 2 hours, I could have 150 messages. We do classes with each other all week. We do music, hangouts, and programs. These babies have been friends since birth, but really, it's for the moms. We also do a night out once a month. We all get together and do activities too. We did a cute pumpkin patch day in fall. We all say we don't know what we would do without each other because it literally saves us. We know each other's babies so well. I could tell you their sleep schedules, poo schedules, what illnesses they've had, all of it. There's no drama in the group, and we have achieved that because we refuse to judge. We are going through this together. Yes, there are some people who are really high strung, some who are loosey goosey, some who are super chill, and then some in the middle. But is everyone going to be best friends? No, but we still all get along, and it's a really good balance. When you're in those first few months together, you're all just trying to figure it out, and you form a bond that's really different than anything else. I think it's because we're all going through such a crazy time together, and it's like 2 a.m. and you're up talking. The group is so key to my enjoyment of being a new mom. There's so much I wouldn't have been able to do without their support, and it's resources I didn't even know existed. I mean, that's it. That's why we do what we do. That's why we've created this community, and we're so excited for all the next steps that we're going to take. So thank you guys for tuning in today. We're so happy again to be at MomFest.
Thank you. And yeah, we hope to see you on the page, and send us a DM or send us an email. And that's it for 100 days. Love you guys.
Enjoy MomFest. Bye, guys.